Stephen A. Smith is the Kevin Hart of the sports media. Smith is a plant. Disney and ESPN installed Smith at the top of the sports media world because his inadequacies as a journalist.
Exhibition is like, oh man, he's broke. No, it's not a crime for them to make money. They don't say nothing about the guys that's 80 and 90 that's still making hundreds of millions and billions, but as soon as somebody black does it, your people, your own people say, oh, he's broke. Listen, I'm not here to talk about no one else's pockets because I got to where I got to focusing on Floyd Mayweather. That's how I got to becoming 50 and 0.
I don't think it does at all.
No. Here's the reason why. He's retired, number one. Number two, he had already proved himself as a world champion, made a whole boatload of money, got $700 million in 2 fights, for crying out loud. He did all of that stuff. Then he retired, and he's announced that essentially these are exhibitions. He's just having fun with it because he's getting old. He's 45 years old now, and he did what he came to.
Stephen A. Smith has just revealed several hidden crimes that were just exposed by Floyd Mayweather after the ESPN personality had earlier fired shots at him over the financial crime allegations.
Here's what I do know, which is where my disappointment comes from. When you are as great as Floyd Money Mayweather, everybody doesn't deserve to be in your space.
It's just that when you've been living this life for so long, I think it's normal, but you know, when people go on social media, they post, then when I post, they get mad. They're like, oh, you cocky, you arrogant. I'm just telling the truth.
The boxing champion appeared on the Valuetainment podcast on Friday, which was his first appearance on air ever since the federal agents began investigating his financial crimes and fraud deals.
Why do you think it's hate from both sides?
They gotta point the finger at somebody. I mean, I think that it's just that when I talk about the numbers that I'm doing, I'm really doing. It's not like, you know how the young kids say now, capping, or we used to say fronting, so ain't no future in your fronting.
Interestingly, Floyd Mayweather wasn't just there to talk about his own allegations and shed light on many of the claims. He also exposed many of Stephen A. Smith's crime that never made it out of secrecy. All because he's in charge of the media space and controls whatever comes out of it. In fact, Floyd Mayweather went ahead to reveal some shocking details about Stephen A. Smith's $100 million contract with ESPN. According to Floyd, Stephen A. Smith is a liar and criminal who has been placed in the public eye to act as a smokescreen to cover up the hidden crimes of some top businessmen in the country.
I talked about that, building that wealth and doing different things that way, but you started off as Pretty Boy Floyd.
Yes.
And then you moved to Money Mayweather, and Money Mayweather became the villain. But part of being that villain was building a brand where people tuned in, whether it was the two sides that hated you or the side like me that was cheering for you to win, because I looked at the discipline of the way you approached the sport. Was that a calculated decision for you to become Money Mayweather and kind of be the villain?
He didn't get that huge contract for spilling trash on air. He got it for covering up hidden crimes and being a puppet. To Floyd Mayweather, Stephen A. Smith is an ESPN personality to do whatever they'll ask him to do and tell lies against people. He has no morals, and they need someone who can tell lies all the time, bend rules, and act in a way that generates the kind of views and engagements ESPN wants. The sports personality has personally been found guilty of several crimes in the past. However, his ESPN team has always shielded him, which was his reward for shielding several celebrities in the past. Floyd Mayweather then left talking about Stephen A. Smith and spoke briefly about his financial crimes and allegations.
That's all he needs to do to erase that debt. Don't go to the damn poker table. Don't go to the blackjack table. Don't go to the slot machine, for crying out loud, even if it's only asking you for $1. Don't do it. Stay the hell out of the casino other than your performance.
Pushing each other to be great instead of arguing on social media. That's just my opinion. And push each other in a positive way. And, I found myself in the past, the younger Floyd Mayweather, going back and forth on the internet with different people.
When talking about the tax allegations against him, he responded, "There's no truth in all of that. Believe that at your own risk. I pay my tax on time. There could be some miscalculations from their end, and my lawyer is on that." He then touched on the debts he was owing jewelry stores and other companies. "I owe no one. These guys expect me to pay stuff at once because they know I'm rich. but I choose the installment option and they lie that I'm owing. They do anything to become famous. Floyd Mayweather also pointed viewers to an Instagram post he made to deny the allegations of Stephen A. Smith. I want to categorically deny these allegations of financial impropriety. They're completely baseless and without merit. I've always conducted my business dealings with the utmost integrity and transparency. I'm shocked and disappointed that anyone would think otherwise. I'm confident that a thorough investigation will reveal the truth and clear my name.
I'm in a better place in my life right now. You know, I couldn't ask to be in a better place. So the old Floyd Mayweather, when I used to go back and forth with people on social media, I don't do that anymore because I'm truly, truly blessed, way beyond belief. You know, what's important to me right now is my real estate, my family, different things I'm involved with. You know, it's all about helping kids, the new generation.
On his Instagram account, he continued, "I'm appalled by the accusations of tax fraud and debt allegations. I've always been diligent in my financial obligations and ensured compliance with all relevant laws and regulations. My records are meticulous, and I'm happy to provide any documentation required to demonstrate my innocence. These claims are nothing more than malicious rumors with no foundation in fact. I'm looking forward to vindication. I understand that mistakes can happen, but these allegations are not mistakes. They're fabrications. I've worked hard to build my reputation, and I won't let unfounded claims tarnish it. I'm cooperating fully with authorities and am eager to demonstrate my innocence. The truth will come out, and I'll be exonerated."
Surpass Floyd Mayweather and be a better Floyd Mayweather. So, you know, everything that I did, you know, in a past, if it was something negative, I apologize. And, you know, Terrence Crawford, continue to be great, continue to do you, continue to love your family.
I'm concerned about the potential damage these false allegations could cause to my personal and professional life. However, I'm determined to fight for my reputation and clear my name. I'm confident that the facts will show that these claims are baseless and without merit. I'll continue to cooperate with investigators and provide any necessary information to demonstrate my innocence. Finally, he wrote on Instagram, "Ultimately, I believe that the truth will prevail, and my innocence will be proven. I'm committed to transparency and accountability, and I'm willing to undergo any scrutiny necessary to demonstrate my integrity. I appreciate the opportunity to address these allegations and look forward to putting this matter behind me once and for all." One would have thought Floyd Mayweather was the only one having issues with Stephen A. Smith, but there are other top media personalities and athletes who are facing serious issues with the ESPN man.
I feel like when you, I mean, as you get older, you have to look at things in a different way. You know, my son this year is 26 years old. So in 4 years, my son will be 30. Then my daughter will be 29 in the 4 years. So I have, grandchildren. So
Stephen A. Smith got into an altercation with Jason Whitlock, another sports personality, and Whitlock exposed even more than Mayweather did with so much evidence. The feud began last month when Whitlock was publicly admonishing the validity of Smith's recently published memoir titled Straight Shooter, calling into question the accuracy of Smith's autobiography and wondering if most, if not all, of Smith's storytelling was either highly exaggerated or made up lies altogether. Whitlock especially keened in on sections of the book that discuss Smith's supposed college basketball career at Winston-Salem State University, with Whitlock outright calling the entire recollection a lie and calling Smith out publicly to explain and clarify the staggering discrepancies of his mysterious basketball career.
Which is why I sit here with sadness today to report to you that I'm incredibly disappointed in one of my all-time favorite fighters, my brother, Floyd Money Mayweather.
Whitlock went on to name Smith when referencing the explosive Cat Williams interview on Shannon Sharpe's podcast in January, where the comedian called out some of the most successful actors and musicians in the entertainment industry. Williams singled out individuals who unexpectedly skipped the line to experience metaphoric rises to fame despite having very little acclaim, and labeled them plants who people of power sought to elevate with the intention of later using as puppets to advance their own personal agendas. Whitlock said Smith was an ESPN industry plant and was purposely installed as a left-wing shill to push liberal narratives connected to stoking racial division and pushing the COVID-19 vaccine in exchange for a lucrative career devoid of merit.
Part of this myth, I've been number one in sports talk TV for 10 years. And he's allowed to say this over and over and over again, and people now believe it. Like Stephen A. entered a race. It's like he started, like in auto racing, they talk about pole position or qualifying.
Once Stephen A. Smith began his lies with Whitlock, Whitlock exposed him on air. Stephen A. Smith is low character. He's a pathological liar. Someone that is comfortable spewing dishonesty after dishonesty, stacking lies on top of lies. That is a low-character individual. That's someone disconnected from the truth. We should not be surprised that when called out on his lies, how Stephen A. Smith responds and reacts. Did he act like someone who had some common sense, some professionalism, some class, a standard that he holds himself to? And when it seemed like this was too far, Whitlock expressed his disappointment in a man who is supposedly one of the top men in the business, yet he keeps putting up delinquencies like those of a newbie.
They're acting like Stephen A. qualified. He started the race in 15th place and then advanced his way up to number one in morning sports talk TV. There was only one sports talk TV show, Cold Pizza. Then it became First Take. And then Stephen A. got hooked up with Skip Bayless.
Could you imagine being at the top of an industry, one of the highest paid employees at the worldwide leader in sports? Someone questions the lies you told in your memoir, exposes the lies you told in your memoir, and your response is, I'm gonna tape a 45-minute, profanity-laced diss tape. Virtually everything in this man's memoir is suspect, everything. Whitlock then went on a rant, exposing most of the lies Stephen A. Smith had told viewers of the years. This wasn't about one game and being on Winston-Salem State's basketball roster. This was about everything in that memoir, including some arrest in Troy, Michigan, where white co-workers abandoned him and he had to call some woman in Atlanta to get him out of jail in Troy, Michigan because he's $9 short, a 6-inch screw in his knee. This was just a ton of lies in a memoir.
They got hooked up with Skip Bayless. They weren't competing against anybody. Fox Sports didn't have a morning talk show. There was no one nationally they were competing against. So, of course, he's number one, and he's working for ESPN, a giant.
He continued his trolling, buttressing the points that Floyd Mayweather and several others have made in the past. How can you be a journalist and be this comfortable with lying? And your response isn't let me dispute any of this. Let me apologize. Let me clarify. Let me prove Whitlock wrong. It's to call Whitlock a bunch of names. He did that and got away with it because the entire culture has been corrupted. The entire sports media culture, the entire media culture, the entire American culture has been corrupted to the point no one cares about truth. No one has any legitimate expectations.
Make him easy to control.
He ain't lying.
Jason Whitlock. I said that name. It's not a name I've uttered. I normally don't do that, but it's necessary to do now.
Stephen A. Smith is a 56-year-old man who behaved like a 10-year-old child from a single-parent home, and no one batted an eye. No one in the media called him out on it. The only person that called him out was Corey Holcomb. One of the 2 or 3, if not the highest profile employee at ESPN, makes a complete fool out of himself on tape for nearly an hour. And the New York Times says nothing. The New York Post says nothing. All the headlines were Stephen A. Smith flames Jason Whitlock. Floyd Mayweather had said almost the same thing about Stephen A. Smith controlling the media space for his selfish gains.
I've had enough of that fat bastard. I never talk about him. I never talk about my colleagues. I don't do that. This is a first. But it's necessary. And when it's time for me to address this, I'm only going to do it once.
No one writing headlines said Stephen A. Smith just made a fool of himself and behaved in such an unprofessional manner. ESPN has to do something about this. No one said a word about that because they eliminated standards for black men. They're basically sending black men the message, do anything? If you want to loot, if you want to use hard substances, if you want to be profane, if you want to make music that denigrates yourself, denigrates your mama, denigrates anything and everything black before and after, do it. That's the message. We shouldn't be surprised when Stephen A. Smith is doing just that. They've been given their marching orders. They know what keeps the money flowing. Buffoonery. He then pointed out his misbehaviors and blamed them on him, rather than on anyone else.
This bastard is worth less than a damn cockroach. He wanted my attention. He's got it.
A lack of morals and character? That's what keeps the money flowing for black men? We saw them do this in the rap music industry. They totally perverted rap music and said, we're cutting a check and we're selling any record that denigrates black people. We want music about dealing hard substances, banging strippers, disrespecting women, and killing guys. That's what we want the music to be about. All these little rappers that y'all idolize and worship and defend at all costs, from Jay-Z to Tupac on down, they all cooperated and said, I'll do it, cut me the check. And you went along with it. And now here they come to the sports media world. Stephen A. Smith is doing the exact same thing while continuing to pretend like I'll never talk about Jason Whitlock again. This stuff is so embarrassing, and the fact no one in the media will touch it, the story is like Stephen A. Smith disses Jason Whitlock. Not that Stephen A. Smith has made a fool of himself, acted like a gangster rapper, and made a fool out of ESPN.
He wants a mulligan. I think he wants a mulligan. You don't want smoke with me, and you know you don't. You got to ask permission for what you can say. And you got to go consult with sponsors and your bosses at ESPN. I got to consult with me. You and your little fake.
He accused Stephen A. Smith of fraudulence, claiming he's not even morally fit enough to be a media personality, not to talk of being a president. Stephen A., you're not built for the position that you've been placed in. You're there as a prop and a fraud. You've been installed because of your low character, because of your comfort with dishonesty, your comfort with lying. This could have been put down a long time ago by just coming clean and responding to any of the dozen legitimate questions that are raised in your memoir. How can you be respected as a journalist, an arbiter of truth, if you're that comfortable telling lies and exaggerated stories about yourself, putting them in book form, and then going on interviews and exaggerating the lies even more? There are so many clips of you lying, exaggerating, distorting, and clearly talking ignorantly, foolishly, and deceptively about your own personal history. It calls into question everything about yourself.
Dive. Let me take a look at who Stephen A. Smith is. Why does this dude think he can call me out of my name and run around like Mr. Tough Guy and he wants the smoke? Let me see what he's standing on. So I read his memoir. And when I read his memoir, it was laughable. Just as a journalist, don't pass the smell test were enormous and plastered all throughout the book.
One of the lies Stephen A. Smith told was about his background, which was quickly exposed in no time as well. Instead of addressing the questions I've raised about you, you want everyone talking about me. I'm actually built for it and standing on the truth and couldn't care less what y'all say. High school basketball tryouts are not one-day affairs. Why is a grown man running around telling far-fetched stories? He's an actor. Stephen A. Smith for bringing their recent beef to light on Chris Mad Dog Russo's radio show during Media Week at the Super Bowl, despite Stephen A. previously pledging to his listeners that he was never going to discuss Whitlock names ever again.
Artists in the UFC, I get it. John Gotti III, I don't know anything about him. I'm not trying to disrespect him. And yes, I'm being smart. I'm not trying to disrespect the grandson of a mobster. Fair enough. But what I'm trying to say is this. When you're great, when you're elite, not just anybody deserves to be in your pristine space.
With Whitlock's claim, it's proof that Floyd Mayweather didn't jump on the Valuetainment podcast to tell lies or slander an innocent person. Rather, his aim was clear: to expose Stephen A. Smith for who he truly was, and not the talkative saint the media painted to the public. While there are still more revelations of Stephen A. Smith that Floyd Mayweather promised to expose, the little that was exposed had done some good damage on the career of the media personality. What are your thoughts on the statements of Floyd Mayweather on Stephen A. Smith? Do you feel the confessions and revelations of these two celebrities are fueled by hatred rather than pure truth? Let's know your thoughts in the comment section, and that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.